Dundas. Henry Dundas delayed the abolition of slavery by some 75 years to benefit his friends in Parliament. There was quite a furore about the statue a couple of years ago, and eventually a compromise was reached and they put a plaque on the statue or in the square detailing Dundas's history, warts and all. If you look at the statue, you'll see it's the highest statue in Edinburgh. Dundas insisted he had the highest statue. He was a bit of an egotist. He wanted to look down on his fellow citizens. He was also impeached. He was impeached for embezzlement. So we're going to come to the monument to Sir Walter Scott next. Sir Walter Scott was a romantic novelist. He gave us books like Ivanhoe, he gave us Heart of Midlothian. If you came by train today, you'd have arrived at the Waverley Station. That's named after a selection of Sir Walter Scott's books. So as we swing round now ahead of us, the monument to Sir Walter Scott, described by Bill Bryson, the American travel writer, as a Gothic rocket. The statue at the base of the monument is of Sir Walter Scott. It's carved in Italian marble by the Edinburgh sculptor James Steele, and it shows Sir Walter sitting with his gun dog Maida at his side and a quill pen in his hand. So that's the statue and monument of Sir Walter Scott ahead of the bus now. Week. And as you turn round into Princes Street, the floral tribute you'll see on the scaffolding there around the building, that's in respect of the firemen who died trying to put the clothes out last week. These are Princes Street Gardens east on the left. You see they're getting replanted again. They were decimated by the Christmas market that was there last year. So that's the old town up on the hill. That's where we're going to go to next. We're going to go up Lothian Road when we get to the end of Princes Street and go into the old town. These pillars we're passing now on the left, Edinburgh's art galleries. The most famous painting in there is the iconic Monarch of the Glen, the painting of the giant stag by Lenser. These gardens on the left, these are Princes Street Gardens West. They stretch the entire length of the castle. You get some great views of the castle from the gardens, and you're going to get a great view of the castle now up to your left. The Princes Street view of Edinburgh Castle up to your left now. That's the most popular view. That's the one you see in the postcards all the time. Small building in the middle of the castle, that's Queen Margaret's Chapel, the oldest building in Edinburgh. You can actually still get married in there. It's a working chapel. It's pretty small, however. It only takes about 30 guests, but it's very atmospheric. I've been to a wedding in there. So that's the gardens. It runs, if you can see, run the entire length of the castle. Shortly on the left, we're going to come to a Celtic cross. This is the site of St Cuthbert's Church. St Cuthbert's Church and Graveyard is one of the oldest religious sites in Edinburgh. And it was in St Cuthbert's Church that the mystery writer Agatha Christie was married. Or was she? So we'll shortly turn into Lothian Road, and this will take us up into the old town. So on your left now, this is the graveyard of St Cuthbert's Church. It's the oldest graveyard in Edinburgh. And if you look at this little building ahead of us on the left, just at the very periphery of the graveyard, this is actually, it looks like a small castle, but it's actually a guard tower They had to put armed guards into the graveyards because of the body snatchers, the grave robbers. They would go around and dig up freshly buried corpses, and they would sell the bodies to the surgeons in Surgeons' Hall. It was a very profitable way to make money. You got 10 guineas a corpse. The rich people would hire armed guards to put in the guard tower to protect their relatives' graves. The poor people couldn't afford that. So they would just camp outside the grave. They'd pitch a tent and camp outside the grave for 10 days. Because after 10 days, decomposition would set in. The bodies would start decomposing. And the surgeons didn't want them. They didn't want bodies that weren't pristine. They wanted pristine bodies for their experiments and for all their classes in Surgeons' Hall. And leading on from the body snatchers, there came something much worse, which I'll cover later on in the tour. So that's Usher Hall we're passing now on the left of the bus. It looks very similar to the Albert Hall in London, and its raised roof make it give it the best acoustics of any concert hall in the city. It's not big enough for the big band people to 1,000 people. The big bands prefer going to the stadiums and outside of the city. We had the Eagles here last June in front of 60,000 people at Murrayfield. Edinburgh Castle. Just coming to it now, this is the rear of the castle. Now bear in mind as roads are elevated, you're about 50 feet up. But even from an elevated position, look how high the castle rock looks. The castle was never taken by direct assault, and you can see why. We're going to go right up to the black volcanic castle rock of Edinburgh Castle. Now Edinburgh Castle was built on the site of a dormant volcano. And the street we're going to go down to, the Lawn Market, the Royal Mile, the foundations of the lava trail from the volcano, the houses there used the stone for their foundations. So if you look as we spin around, this is the closest you'll get to the volcanic rock of Edinburgh Castle by bus in the city. We're right underneath it now. The legend has it that there is a secret trail to the top there, but nobody's been able to definitively prove that that exists. I think that might just be purely legend. So now up on the left, that's the esplanade of Edinburgh Castle. That's where the military tattoo takes place every year. There's also up there at the top of Castle Hill in the esplanade that the witch burnings used to take place. If you go up there, have a look on the left, and you're walking up at the Witch's Well. So we're coming to the next stop on the tour. The next stop is for the castle, it's for Gladstone's Land, it's for the Whisky Experience, for Camera Obscura. This is the next stop on the tour. We're going to turn into the Royal Mile. This is the top of the Royal Mile we're turning into. The Royal Mile stretches from the castle at the top straight down to the palace at the bottom. So this is the top of the Royal Mile. This section of the Royal Mile is known as the Lawn Market. So this is a stop for the castle. So we've even arranged for a piper to come on for you, belting out Amazing Grace. High Kirk, the Queen's body lay in state. They stayed for 2 days in St Giles High Kirk. Well, this pub on the corner we're going to come to shortly, Deacon Brodie's Tavern. The story behind that, Deacon Brodie was a cabinet maker by day, he was a thief by night. Deacon Brodie was the inspiration for Robert Louis Stevenson's book, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, because of the split personality. Respectable cabinet maker by day, thief by night. So we're going to turn into George IV Bridge shortly. George IV Bridge gets its name from a visit King George IV made to Edinburgh. Hello, welcome aboard, you pudding and pie, kissed the girls and made them cry. So when we turn the corner, we're going to come to the most photographed statue in Edinburgh, the statue to the smell. But the reason they kept the wee dogs in the tenements, it wasn't a romantic reason. They kept the wee dogs in the tenements to keep the rats down, because the wee terriers were the best ratters in the city. So we'll turn along into George IV Bridge now. That's the French Institute, the first building we're going to pass. The French consulate's in there as well. And the next building we're coming to on the left, this is the National Library of Scotland. Again, that's a beautiful library, it's certainly well worth a visit. But this is, as the name suggests, this is an actual bridge. They go over the Cowgate and the start of the Grass Market. This little cafe on the right, this red cafe, the Elephant House Cafe, that's where J.K. Rowling wrote her early Harry Potter stuff. It's actually been shut for about 2 years. There was a very bad fire there last year. Thank you. Isn't that funny? But thanks very much, pal. So you're going to get your first view of wee Bobby down on the right. If you look at the wee dog down there, So my jokes are better than yours, Bendix. So we're going to go into the University District, the main University District now. In the city by some considerable distance. Everywhere ahead of us for about a couple of miles is all university property. And as we swing round on your left, the first building of note, that's McEwan Hall, the main graduation hall of Edinburgh University. This darker building we're passing now on the left, the School of Medicine. The most famous people in there was Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. Conan Doyle based his character Sherlock Holmes on his professor here, a Professor Bell. Shortly on the left we're going to come to two pillars with the Lion of England and the Unicorn of Scotland on top of them. That takes you down to the Meadows on the left, a green park in the middle of the city. That's where the first football match took place between the two local teams, Hearts and Hibs. Hearts won, as usual. Any fans of Harry Potter on the bus? Yes, they all said unanimously. If you look on your right, that's George Heriot's school. Both J.K. Rowling's daughters went to George Heriot's, and she based when they were making the first Harry Potter movie, they based Hogwarts on the old school of George Heriot. You'll see on the right there, you see the pupils coming out with the way. That's George Heriot's school there on the right, all the way down. And if you look through the gates, you'll see the inspiration for Hogwarts. So earlier in the tour, if you've been listening, I told you about the body snatchers. The body snatchers who would go around and dig up the freshly buried corpses and sell their bodies to the surgeons in Surgeons' Hall. In particular, they sold them to a Dr. Knox. He was the most famous surgeon or infamous surgeon in Surgeons' Hall. And leading on from them, I told you something much worse came. And what came was two serial killers called Burke and Hare. Burke and Hare decided they weren't going to wait till the bodies were buried. They were going to kill them themselves. They went down to the grass market. They found mostly vagrants and drunks. And they would murder them. They murdered 17 people, at least. And they had their own method of murdering. It was called burking. That involved lying across the person with a pillow, across their face with a pillow, and smothering them to death. Now this wasn't accidental. This was at the behest of the surgeons. The surgeons didn't want bodies that had their heads caved in. They wanted pristine bodies so they could sell them, so they could do their schools and their operations in front of their students. The kids at the time around here, we used to play skipping, and they had their own song. It went up the close, down the stair. You're on your way with Burke and Hare. Burke's the butcher, Hare's the thief. Knox the doctor that buys the beef. They were cheery children. So we're going to go, and they also named the pub after Burke and Hare. It's one of Graham the Driver's favourite pubs. It's up to your left. It's called the Burke and Hare. It's actually a lap dancing bar. So in a way, they're still selling bodies in there.